never really agreed with the whole jersey burnings, but Ben Simmons, you can go f yourself. You are the biggest bitch I've ever fucking seen. You're soft as shit, and I hope your ass goes to fucking Cleveland, in the most irrelevant city in the NBA. You have no excuse to bitch right now. Go fuck yourself.
I love when a story comes full circle. I love when we were able to follow a story from one sketchy report all the way back in the beginning of July, all the way to a more credible source, all the way until Sham Daddy or Papa Woj are able to report it for us. And it's really a very validating feeling, because it means that for the most part you covered a story 100% correctly. So I want to let you guys know that we're running a NBA 2K22 giveaway on Instagram that ends tonight. It literally says at the very bottom, winner will be announced today. So if you want to enter for a chance to win NBA 2K22 or some VC, go to my Instagram account. It's the latest post there. It's at TheFlightMike. In addition to that, I am giving 5 people $500 if they like and retweet my Twitch petition to get my Twitch account back. A link to that is also in the description down below. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Today's video is sponsored by Upstart. Whether you're paying off a loan, consolidating high interest debt, Upstart is by far the easiest way to get yourself a quick personal loan online. Upstart knows that there's more to you than just your credit score and is expanding access to affordable credit. Unlike other lenders, Upstart considers your current employment and your income to get you the best possible rate for your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments by going to upstart.com/Mike. That's upstart.com/Mike. And thank you, Upstart, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? I don't think it's even been 20 hours since I brought you guys the last Ben Simmons update. And to be honest, I think Ben Simmons has heard all of the rumors that we are suggesting about him, because he posted this video onto his story earlier today that features John Wall, the very person that he is in trade rumors with. Now, if you remember, throughout this entire saga, I've reported multiple sources that suggest that Ben Simmons intends to hold out of training camp. And this starts all the way in July from our guy, Jake Fisher. We saw the report on the AHN Digital Sports website, and it pretty much said that the Philadelphia 76ers were trying to reach out to Ben Simmons, but Ben Simmons hasn't been picking up on them. And at the very beginning, when you hear that from a very sketchy source, which no offense to you, Jake, I just never heard of you before we got to this, you gotta take it with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? It's because it's something that in my head I say, okay, there's like a 25 to 30% probability that it's going down. I'll make a video on it, but I'll let Mike Mafia know that this isn't a Woj, this isn't a Shams. I'm unsure that this is gonna go down. Eventually, Barstool reports it a couple of weeks later, and then you're hearing Ben Simmons' name in trade rumors. Of course, prior to the NBA draft, they did try to trade with the Toronto Raptors. We covered that in the video yesterday. They tried to trade him for Kyle Lowry, OG Anunoby, the number 4 pick in the NBA draft, and Fred VanVleet. The Raptors said no to that, and then there was some rumors that Ben Simmons might get traded to the Warriors. After all, Ben Simmons came out and said, hey, I would like to play for one of the 3 California teams, which I'm assuming he meant that he wants to play for the Warriors, the Clippers, or the Lakers. But the Clippers aren't possible at all because they have no assets at all whatsoever. There's no way Ben Simmons could go to the Clippers. The Lakers are capped out as it is. They already got Russell Westbrook. There's no way he could go to the Lakers. That literally just leaves the Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings. So as time goes on forward, we find out that Ben Simmons has completely ghosted the Philadelphia 76ers, and there are some potential trade packages for the man. We even find out that the guy is willing to play for the Cleveland Cavaliers, which is very strange to me, because if you play for the 76ers that have made it to the playoffs the past couple years, yeah, you could hate on Doc Rivers, but hey, at least this guy makes it into the playoffs, all right? Even though he chokes in the playoffs, at least he makes it into the playoffs. Whether it's the fact that he has very talented teams or that he's been riding that one championship victory to 2008 to coaching gigs or not is a different conversation in of itself. But the Philadelphia 76ers have Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, Danny Green, Seth Curry. They have a good team built around Ben Simmons. You go to the Sacramento Kings and you're going to an organization that historically just makes really bad decisions. I mean, in 2012, they drafted Thomas Robinson over Damian Lillard, and that wouldn't bother me if they didn't trade Thomas Robinson at the trade deadline. That very year, a top 5 pick was traded at the trade deadline. Moving forward, I don't give anyone hate for messing up in the 2013 NBA draft. Most recently, they drafted Marvin Bagley over Luka Doncic because they thought De'Aaron Fox would be a better primary ball handler than Luka Doncic. And believe me, I love De'Aaron. I think he's awesome. I think he's a fantastic player. I just don't think Luka Doncic's come around very often. I think Luka is a once in a generation type of player, and the fact that you knew he was better than Marvin Bagley, but took Marvin Bagley, another testament to the fact that your organization doesn't really know what it's doing. But I digress, because in this scenario, not only is he willing to go to a lesser team, but there are some interesting trade packages that are being offered for him. Now, the one issue that the Sixers have had so far is the fact that Ben Simmons' trade value isn't something that they can agree on with other teams. Like, again, yesterday we mentioned that they broached the Golden State Warriors for a trade package that surrounds Andrew Wiggins, James Wiseman, the 2 lottery picks that they had this year that turned into Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga, and 2 future first-round picks. And honestly, I think that's the most likely team that will trade for them if they could get over the fact that him and Draymond Green aren't a good fit on the court together. If Draymond Green accepts the fact that, hey, maybe I'm gonna have to take a bench role if Ben Simmons comes in, and that's okay. You know, for all you know, that could be what the Golden State Warriors need to get to the next level. But in addition to that, I think the trade package for Ben Simmons, I think it would be something like half of what the Philadelphia 76ers initially proposed. I mean, I don't see James Wiseman going anywhere. I think James Wiseman will stay. Maybe out of Moses Moody or Jonathan Kuminga, one of them will go. Maybe there will be 1 first-round pick from the future that'll go. And I think Andrew Wiggins is a must no matter what, because you need him to make the salary cap match. And I think that's about it. And I think that's the best case scenario for the Philadelphia 76ers if this goes down. Now, yesterday we reported that Mark Stein and the 76ers came out and said that the Philadelphia 76ers remain intent on convincing Ben Simmons to be at training camp. And the official report, which I didn't read, but I showed you, was that the Sixers don't have a trade for Ben Simmons. And they're starting the season with a cloud, a tension, and awkwardness. I mean, they're kind of a mess right now, and we're going to have to see how this thing plays out. The teams that are registering interest in Ben Simmons are not teams that the Philadelphia 76ers want to engage with. I think the media day is September 27th. Camps open on September 28th. Is Ben Simmons going to be there? Do the Sixers want him there? I can't see a Ben trade materializing here in the next 10 to 12 days, so that they've got immediate tension to confront in Philly right there. So, of course, that makes things really interesting. I think Ben Simmons may have read this report because Adrian Wojnarowski came out and confirmed what we've been reporting all freaking summer long. And if you've never had no doubt about me getting this right, comment TheFlightMike got it right, because ESPN sources, Philadelphia 76ers All-Star Ben Simmons will not report for the opening of training camp next week and intends to never play another game for the franchise. Simmons hasn't spoken to teams since a late August meeting when he communicated this message to Sixers officials. This is so interesting because Ben Simmons has no leverage here. I mean, his trade value is all the way to the bottom. Like, honestly, if I'm the 76ers, I look at this and I'll pretty much laugh in his face in terms of his situation. He's not a superstar. He is an all-star. I'll give him that. But he's owed so much money that I'm sure the Philadelphia 76ers would like having him rot away on the bench and just finding him constantly until they can find a good trade for him. Meanwhile, I'm sure the pressure will get to Ben Simmons and eventually he'll cave. But I think this situation's hysterical because the Philadelphia 76ers really botched this situation. Don't get me wrong, Ben Simmons is equally to blame in this situation, but we're gonna go and cite Jason Dumas, and he's been doing a great job giving us an an inside look to this situation. Like, I've been following his tweets religiously. The guy deserves his props. So here you go. First of all, let's give him props because Jason Dumas did report this months ago. And here is his tweet on August 15th. Ben Simmons has cut off communication with basically everyone in the Sixers organization. Everything is going through his agent, Rich Paul. Ben is open to going to the Golden State Warriors, though. He doesn't really have much leverage in the situation. Give my man some props. He got it right on August 5th. Now, of course, if you didn't believe him, I don't blame you. There's a lot of fake news out there. Believe me, I sift through a lot of it. But Jason came out and said today that Ben is well aware of how the majority of Sixers fans feel about him. There are several organized groups planning to go boo him in Camden the day camp opens, and he wants no parts of that. But that has been a point of contention with Ben as it pertains to the current situation. I can't confirm whether he reports to camp or not. He probably won't. But that situation is fluid. But I can reiterate that he has no interest in playing another game as a Sixer. Here's some context to the situation. Last year, all the key decision makers in the Sixers organization had signed off on a Simmons/Harden trade, including Joel Embiid. Ben was informed by the organization that he was likely being moved. It didn't materialize, and all the parties moved forward with no friction, which props to Ben because he was a professional when they needed him to be a professional. And again, I'm not saying that the Philadelphia 76ers aren't justified in wanting to trade Ben Simmons because Ben Simmons has been the same exact player for his entire career. And I can understand that he's pretty much the reason why they've been stagnating so much because he hasn't developed a jump shot at all, which, with all due respect, developing a jump shot is probably the only skill you could work on by yourself. It's probably the only skill that can determine how good of a work ethic you have. If you have been in the league for 5 years and you still haven't developed a jump shot, that speaks volumes about your lack of work ethic. But regardless, the Philadelphia 76ers pretty much went out and said, hey, Ben, we've been dangling you in trade rumors all off season long. Like, that's all you've been hearing about yourself. And oh yeah, we threw you under the bus and scapegoated you for the reason why we lost to the Atlanta Hawks. But hey, you come to training camp, right? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Of course Ben Simmons has his feelings hurt. Of course he doesn't want to play for the Philadelphia 76ers again. I don't really blame him. The Philadelphia 76ers botched this entire situation. They should have been a little bit more low-key about their motives. Every single trade that they tried to propose for Ben Simmons has literally been leaked to the media. They broached the Sacramento Kings, the Golden State Warriors. They tried to hit up the Toronto Raptors. We heard the very first trade rumor all the way back in June involved Malcolm Brogdon in a first-round pick, which it was rejected. I don't think I've ever seen a more publicized situation in regards to a player potentially getting traded since when the Lakers pursued Anthony Davis and their trade offers were leaked. And you saw Kyle Kuzma and Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball losing motivation to play with LeBron James. You heard them getting those LeBron will trade you chants while they were going to the free throw line. And I guess that situation was a little bit worse than this situation because that was in the middle of the season. But this situation could potentially get a lot more uglier. Now, what I think is going to happen in this situation, Ben Simmons isn't going to report to camp. He's going to get fined a lot. Eventually, he's either going to cave and come play for the Sixers, or the Sixers are going to move him for pennies on the dollar. Needless to say, this situation is both Ben Simmons' fault for his lack of ability to really try to develop a jump shot. It's been 5 years, bro. Come on, this is the only part of your game that has a hole. And the Philadelphia 76ers for airing out their dirty laundry, and for Doc Rivers throwing him under the bus on national television. So what I think is the most probable thing that's going to happen, he gets traded to the Golden State Warriors for pennies on the dollar. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this. Whose fault do you think it is? Do you blame the Sixers more than Ben, or Ben more than the Sixers? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.